Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/goblin. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. It's one of those things that when you hit, you can make a ton.
So you're saying if I use it properly, I could get gold cap within a week?
You got about as much chance of hitting gold cap as the Cubs do of winning the series. Oh, never mind. Scratch that, I guess. Okay, the Browns winning the Super Bowl. We'll go with that. Sorry, Browns fans. I didn't mean to offend either one of you.
You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast with Dex and Mac. I got mouths to feed, so let's get this thing started. Time is money, friend.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Azeroth. You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast, your guide to making gold in World of Warcraft. This is episode 17. I'm your host, Dex, coming to you from Napa, California. With me on Skype is the man who never has enough middle fingers for a proper response, my co-host Mac from Anchorage, Alaska. How you doing, Mac?
Oh, you're just lucky we don't have video going. And this is why we don't live stream.
Well, there's the show rating. You know, we want to at least keep a semblance of having a clean show. So.
There is that. Yeah, it could have been better. I mean, right now, as we speak, DitchCon has been going on for probably the last 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So we're going to miss that this year?
I'd probably be on my 5th or 6th Long Island iced tea by now.
Yeah, it's been going on long enough. I could have had to get my scotch on. And then, tomorrow we're going to be missing, we could have been, if we'd have been able to make it to the convention this year, tomorrow we could have been trying to deal with our hangovers in the morning and then get ready to head on to the con before the storm. We're missing all the fun this year.
Absolutely. This week our topic's going to be using Sniper and flipping the auction house. But before we get into that, Mac, why don't we talk about our week? What's going on?
Week's been okay. Outside of the game, my kids have gone to Vegas for a week, and Mrs. Mac has decided graciously to babysit the 3 oldest grandchildren at my kids' home.
Right.
So she's been over there all week. I'm home alone, which.
This is not. She didn't think this through. Obviously.
No, she did. She actually laid out like a week's worth of clothes in the closet for me, so I can pull them off the hanger one at a time. I think she doesn't think I can dress myself, but.
Okay. In fairness. She has sufficient evidence to reach that conclusion. So. I can't believe you're not getting into trouble over there by yourself.
She brought the dog back home.
Okay.
Yeah, she took the dog with her, so I was going to be here all by myself. I think she was worried about me having to take care of something while she was gone.
Well, at least you have some supervision.
Yeah. The dog wasn't getting along.
You got Marmaduke watching over you, so you're all right now.
It's more like Benji. But the dog wasn't getting along well with the cat, so the first night she spent over there, first thing in the morning, I'm sound asleep, I hear the front door open. It's like, what the heck? And the dog comes running in the house. She goes, you got her. She's yours. Close the door. All right. Anyways.
Well, what about in WoW?
Oh, having fun. I almost have my druid up to 110. I've been I've been making too much gold this week to go out and level a lot. I know you're having the same issues. You will still only got 110.
That's right. I never did bring any other ones up. I got them about halfway, some of them, but never really made the push. But I really had limited play the last couple of weeks. It's kind of bumming me out, and I'm hoping to get back to normal real soon.
No, it's been fun here. We've gone out, like I said, messed around with my druid. I've only gotten two of the areas done with him, and I'm almost 110. Fortunately, they have the mechanic in the game now that I shouldn't have to do the other areas and get the factions up to get that whistle. Yay.
Yeah, that's true.
All Hallows End is over.
Right. Right.
How was your week? How was your All Hallows End? Do you have that shiny new Headless Horseman mount? He asks knowingly.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that. We got a full show. We don't really have time to get into that. We'll be in danger of running long if
if we listen to the rant.
Oh my God! Next year, always next year. I swear.
You've been saying that for the last 5 or 6 years.
I'm like Charlie Brown with the football and Lucy pulling the football back. It's like I'm going to get it next year for sure. I convinced myself. But next year, of course, we won't have a level increase, and so I'll probably have about 20, 25 level 110s. And I won't get it then either, but but at least I'll be able to give it a better shot. Take a better shot at it. I actually did not see anybody in any of my groups get it,
right.
So it wasn't just me. I brought my own brand of bad luck to everybody who had the misfortune of being grouped with me.
Well, I remember the phone call. I was talking to you, and you were out with your little ones. It's like, hey, so did you get your final day in on the Headless Horseman? And you were like, oh, that ends in an hour.
Yeah, I didn't make it home in time to do it the very last day, but I am not really convinced it was going to make any difference. It would have been the same result. I mean, I might have had an extra Draenei mask or something like that. I might have gotten something useful out of it, right? I do have a dwarf mask. I can sneak into Ironforge now if I grow a long enough beard on my goblin. But, that's
Oh.
But yeah, so you've been making some gold. How have you been making gold this week?
This week, still making Goblin gliders. Of course, that's I have a little competition on that now, and with the new way the auction house works, throwing the lower priced items up first. I've had some people who are my competition became my suppliers for a little bit.
Right.
I bought out some of their things to put them back up and flip them, but yeah, they're pricing them way too low, almost where it's almost not worth making them anymore. So I'm going to be moving on from that.
Yeah. The problem with the Goblin gliders on that is, you're not dealing with rare mats or anything like that.
Oh, no.
So you can't buy them all out and then repost because they can come right back behind you. So. Well,
I was doing okay with the with Ghost Iron, selling that in the bars in the auction house, and I had I was offset. I had a bunch of Trillium. On one server, I had a bunch of black Trillium extra. On the other server, I had a bunch of white Trillium that was extra, and I threw them in the auction house, and boy, those are selling better than the Ghost Iron.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, I've been making just for messing around for 20 minutes a day. I've been making about 3,000 to 4,000 gold a night.
Yeah.
Just in the auction house doing those, and that's for doing very minimal work.
Right. Right. I imagine if you had about 4 or 5 more characters done.
Well, then it's not 4 or 5 minutes a night.
No, but it's also not 3,000 a night either.
Oh, this is true. That's that's what I'm just talking. I'm just talking about on those mats, and then
right.
I sold Sky Golem, second Sky Golem. I haven't sold yet. I've got some people undercutting in the auction house, which is fine. I'm not gonna sell at the price. Some of the prices have dropped a little bit ridiculous. So
yeah. Well, it's like we mentioned before, as anticipated, the number of Sky Golems that have become available on the service has increased by quite a bit, and that's the supply is going to, drive the price down because demand's going to fall off a little bit too, because the the desire to get out there and pick all those herbs. There aren't as many people that are really pushing to do that because those prices are going down. So it's all kind of chained together.
And I'm playing with Inscription, which I think is a mistake. I think I'm going to end up spending more gold than it's worth trying to level that up. But
yeah,
I try to have one of every profession, and that's one that I had already started on my druid. So I'm continuing with it. I may be kicking myself here in another month or two.
Yeah.
But,
have you played around at all with? I think you've got a jewel crafter, right?
I have a jewel crafter. I haven't been leveling. That's my demon hunter. And when we originally started talking about when Legion went live, that was like the second tune I was going to run to 110, and I actually ran my paladin to 110, and then my druid is farther along than my demon hunter. So
okay,
he'll be the next one.
Okay, I was curious if you'd done any prospecting at all, and I know there are people that are there, at least for a while there. I know they were doing pretty well prospecting or. I've heard people complaining that prospecting was really, really terrible. Well, I think there was if I remember right, there was a significant bug with mass prospecting that was not working as intended, and supposedly fixed. Personally, myself, I'm paranoid about things like that. I would have never even used the mass prospecting. I would have just assumed that it was going to have a problem.
Hey, have you tested out the Blood of Sargeras on the vendor and checked out the order hall resources? Are they still procking?
Yesterday, I bought a bunch initially that first day. A whole bunch of them, but I didn't click on all of them because I was going to send some to another character, and I ended up clicking on the rest of them because I just figured I'd get more, and I got a whole bunch of procs on those yesterday.
Okay, as I did some on my paladin, and I didn't have as many Blood of Sargeras as I thought I did on him, and he's not an alchemist, but I did about 10 or 15, and I didn't get a proc with him, so.
These were some that I purchased the first day and just clicked on them yesterday. Although I don't think that.
Were you clicking on them with your alchemist though?
Yes.
Well, that was the question.
No, I haven't tried it on a non-alchemist yet. No.
Yeah. So we were wondering if the alchemist was what was causing those to proc.
Yeah. Neither one of us remembered to test it, right?
I tried to test it on my paladin, but I didn't have enough Blood of Sargeras to give it a good try. I didn't have enough numbers because I think the first time I bought them, I bought like 50 of them.
Yeah,
it was just click, 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 and then I started seeing the order hall resources pop up with the multiples.
Yeah, I bought nearly 100, and I think I was 22 in before I got the first proc, and then I got a whole bunch of procs in a row. So. Right. With RNG, you never know. So if you had a small sample size, I would assume that it's still working. As far as I know, there haven't been any hot fixes to it. Nothing that's been.
I haven't seen anybody mention it in WoW Economy. So I'm like I said, I'm just wondering if it's an alchemist thing or if it's just all of them have the chance.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody who's gotten a proc on a non-alchemist yet, so still unknown. We didn't get any feedback from any of our listeners saying that they got them on non-alchemist, so so still kind of unknown on that.
All right, well I'll try to get some on my pally this week and get enough to do a large sampling of at least 40 or 50.
So, what else did you say you were doing this week?
Looking at my fishing pole on my character. now that I got that stupid artifact, it's like, do I really want to go back out and fish? I mean, that kind of leads to. We got an email this week from one of our listeners, YepX, who was last week he was asking about how do you set about goal setting and how do you keep yourself or we talked about goal setting when he asked how we kept ourselves motivated in gold making. Right. And so we mentioned that, and this week he asked, well, how do you figure out which goals you want to work on instead of being overwhelmed. And if you want a lot of things, how would you set your goals for that? Because say I want all of the shinies and I'm overwhelmed by which one I should go after, or do I try to go after them all at once?
Oh, absolutely, and we face that all the time because there are so many different ways to make gold in the game, and you have to make a choice. You have to follow a path.
I think he's looking at also trying to figure out like which mount to go after or what. It's kind of like when I do my long and short term goals. I also look at what do I want to do. What am I trying to do this week? And I kind of set, look, these are things I need to have done right now. These are things that I want to do, but I can wait another week or so. And then I've got ones that I would like to do eventually, but aren't quite as important to me. So I set my levels of importance on items I want. It was like when I went after that silly fishing pole, the artifact fishing pole. That it has its uses, but it's more of a fun type thing.
Right.
But that was something that was an immediate goal. I wanted that.
Yeah.
And I put that in my A column. This is an important thing. I'm going to go out and I'm going to spend some time doing this every evening.
Right.
And every evening, after I was done doing my daily chores and making a little gold, I would go out there and just throw the fishing line in the water and go for those rare fish. And with just a few hours a night, that was what I was able to do.
And I think it's important that we talked about this before, but your short-term goals should be something that's attainable in that short period of time. You don't want to get frustrated. Put something in there that if you stick to it, you can get it done, because accomplishing the goals will make you keep wanting to move forward. For instance, my short-term goal is the Headless Horseman mount,
which is now turned into a long-term goal.
And I think we've established that as something not to do. I think we've illustrated that as being a mistake. But no, as far as mounts, and I go after a lot of mounts, and some of them I'm dealing with RNG, and some of them I'm dealing with, okay, I got to save up the gold and find one at the price that I'm willing to pay. The latter being the toughest part. Usually have the gold to pay for it, but I'm really stubborn. I have like a range that I'm willing to pay for certain mounts, and there are quite a few mounts that I don't have that I could have bought, but I'm not willing to do it. I just can't make myself overpay for them. I could have gotten that rooster mount. What do you call it? The chicken mount.
Yeah, I just don't know the name of it.
Can't remember the name of it right now, but I could have gotten that a long time ago, but I would have had to pay probably about twice what I'm willing to spend. And
well, he also did want to point out that he has the Headless Horseman mount. He was I was like
I think we covered that already. I'm pretty sure we covered that already.
I just like rubbing it in, We need to play again in a group so I can run around with my Headless Horseman run circles around you, just to.
It's an ugly ass mount. I don't know why anybody would want it. I just want it for the mount count. I would never use it. Never once. I don't think I would mount with it even once. It'd be like, yeah, all right, get back in the stable and shut up.
I think you'd be out there showing it off the first month or two. Yay!
I don't think so. I did that with Ashes of Lar, but that was different. I wanted that one because of how it looked, not because I wanted to, add a notch to how many I had.
Well, speaking of notches and new mounts, there is the Dark Moon Fair, the 6th, starts up again, and they'll have that new skate mount, that underwater mount for 500 Dark Moon Daggermaw fish.
Right, right.
Again, something to look forward to this weekend, since we're not going to BlizzCon, and we can make some gold. I'm so depressed. We are planning a March trip to Vegas, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be not not WoW related in any way, but
no.
we may actually be in Vegas when it's time to record the show, and if we are, we'll just record it in Vegas. It'll be the first time, I'm sure, that get a chance to record the show when we're in the same room.
There we go. We'll have to chase our wives off to other parts of the hotel while we do that.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll find their way to the casino and spend all the money.
There we go.
But yours listens, mine doesn't. I'm clear.
I'm waiting for my poor wife to come home. Like the 3 grandsons love him to death, but man, they're hyper like I was when I was younger. So I feel for her, but she volunteered. So
there you go. So we were talking about BlizzCon a little bit. Obviously, we got BlizzCon on the way, and all the things that are before that. You wanted to go into a little bit of some of the new things that are going on last couple of years that they've added that come before the show.
Right. Well, they've got Pwnecast is doing the. Like I said, they're having it happen right now. They have the DitchCon that happens. What's happening tonight? A couple days before. We'll see. Hopefully, they'll be able to redo it again next year.
Right.
The Con Before the Storm. That's a bunch of podcasters. I believe they get together on Thursday night and have a little pre BlizzCon party. They've been doing that a couple years now.
Right.
And then Friday, everything kicks off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be doing the virtual ticket thing. I actually have to be out of town when it's going on, but I'm going to bring my tablet with me, and I'm gonna watch it on the road, and that'll be fun to check out.
And I'll be working, so I will not be able to check it out.
Yeah. So this is kind of our last chance to make some predictions about BlizzCon. We obviously we all know what the closing act is going to be. It's going to be Weird Al.
Rock on.
Yep. But we have. I think I indicated what what I thought was going to be announced as far as for World of Warcraft. That I think that they're going to talk about 7.2 and give us a little bit of information on what's going to happen on that, and probably talk a little bit about how flying in the Broken Isles is going to work. That's my guess. My original guess was that they were going to announce classic servers, but that's not happening. I was wrong on that original guess, obviously, but I don't think we got your guess. What you think they're gonna?
I really think that's what's going to be happening. Is they're going to be talking about that non-WoW related. I probably going to be talking about Diablo.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of speculation when they brought out the Diablo shirts this year for BlizzCon that didn't say Diablo 3 on it. And there's been a lot of speculation as to what that means.
Well, it's an anniversary of sorts for Diablo. So,
right.
What is it? How many years is it for Diablo? Is it 20 or
20 years for Diablo? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I'm assuming that the shirt thing, that's kind of an anniversary thing. Yeah. But so you're thinking that it would maybe be Diablo 4?
I don't think Diablo 4. Probably an expansion to Diablo
3.
To the Diablo 3. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you know what? I
wish I was still in contact with Bill Roper.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not working at Blizzard anymore. So.
Right. You know what? I think it's going to be something else. I don't think it's going to be an expansion of Diablo 3, and I certainly don't think it's going to be Diablo 4. I think what we're going to see is they're going to do something different with the Diablo franchise, and it's not going to be what we've seen before. I think they're going to expand upon it in a way, in a different way. And I don't know what that is exactly. I haven't really thought it through, and I didn't even play Diablo 3. I was big time into Diablo 2, But I haven't even touched Diablo 3 yet.
I've played all 3 of them.
Yeah. I was very interested in Diablo 3 when my son called me and told me about some of the details about how their auction house was going to work and everything for the real money stuff. And
that lasted about, what, 4 or 5 months before they canceled it?
I don't even know if it lasted that long, but I told him that it wouldn't last, that they would get rid of it, that there would be logistical problems with it, and it would have to go. But I got a little hyped up about it. I thought, hey, wait a minit. This,
can make real money.
I'm going to make a lot of money. I thought there'll be a way that I'll be able to make a lot of money with this, and but it was gone before I had a chance to even take advantage. And
I remember your son made a little bit of.
He did. He made some money, and he made some money, and then he stopped because if I can remember what he told me, it was something to the effect of it was ruining playing the game for him because
it was becoming a job.
Well, it was the reason why it was ruining playing the game for him. The reality was he was able to make more money playing Diablo 3 than he was making on his job. Okay, literally making more for the time he was putting into it. And so he started to feel when he would log in to play Diablo 3, if he wasn't concentrating on the things to make real money, that he was wasting his time. And so he stopped doing the things to advance further into the game, and it became all about doing things to make money. And so it kind of ruined the game for him. And, I don't know. He could have quit his job and then, just had, okay, 9 to 5, I make real money in Diablo 3, and the rest of the time I just play for fun.
There we go.
Just kidding.
I don't know. It's kind of like a mechanic, when I was turning wrenches for a living, I really didn't want to go home and do it when I got home. So
yeah. And son, if you're listening, no, don't quit your job. I'm just kidding. No,
you just don't want him to move back in.
Don't do that. No. He hasn't lived with me for many, many years. So he's been on his own, doing very well for himself. But okay, so that's going to bring us to our main segment this week, which is using Sniper and flipping items in the auction house. And I want to start with Sniper. We have talked about Sniper in the past. We had a previous show where we were talking about what add-ons to use for gold making. And Sniper is not an add-on on its own, but it is actually a part of Trade Skill Master. And we have links on the website where you can go and get more information on that. It's something that's far too detailed to go into and too complicated to deal with just in an audio-only show. So we have the links that'll lead you there that were, like I said, on our previous show for setting up Trade Skill Master and using Sniper. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Sniper, some of the things that you want to worry about with it and to be careful of. It's a very dangerous way to make gold if you are an amateur at it. If you're just kind of dipping your toes in the pool, so to speak, you can make some pretty big, costly errors while running it. And even people that are experienced at it do occasionally lose their shirt by making a mistake. And the reason that is as you're scanning and you're waiting for something to go through, something will pop up on your screen, and your data will show you that it's severely underpriced. And if it is in fact something that is a great bargain, you only have a couple of seconds. If you don't know about this thing, if it's not something you're familiar with, and you buy it, you successfully buy it, you might find out that it's something that somebody has purposefully inflated the price over time and created some faulty data out there. And you'll end up, if you buy something that you're not familiar with, what can happen is it won't be a great deal. It'll be actually a piece of junk that's not worth anything. It happens all the time. So if you're going to use Sniper in this way, make sure you deal with items that you are personally familiar with. And most people, I think, know that if you see, for instance, a trading card game mount for sale in the auction house and it's 10K, that somebody made a mistake. You know that these are going for about in the million range, or maybe a little bit less in some cases, and sometimes more. There are some obvious things that can pop up that most people are going to know. But there are some less well known, like if you're dealing with, for instance, very valuable transmog gear. You may not, you may know or you may not know, and sometimes it's really hard to tell when you're talking about some of these items that outside of transmog have no real value. And there are many things that are that way. So you really want to know what you've got.
Like something like the Cindercloth vest that transmog that doesn't drop anymore, or
right. You're talking about the recipe, yeah.
Right.
So rare recipes, things like that, sure. So what happens? The reason why these things are cheap. There are a lot of reasons why this happens. One reason could be somebody trying to transfer gold between characters, and they're trying to be fast about it, and so they want to transfer an item in order to move gold. They want to do it that way. You don't see that as much, I don't think, anymore. You will occasionally see somebody that just really doesn't know what they have. I mean, they have a rare transmog, say, and for them it's just it's a level 19 green, and they don't know that it has any value at all, and they're just dumping it, on the auction house.
I know I personally vendored things that I found out later were worth a lot more than I.
Yeah, no, and that happens. That happens to everybody, of course. But then you've got something that somebody will forget a zero. That's real common. You mean to put 40,000 and you put 4,000, or even worse than that. We have formed the habit of, instead of saying 100,000 gold, we'll say 100K. And if you're constantly saying 100K in your head, and you go to type it in, you type in 100 instead of 100,000, that's a pretty big error. It happens.
And we say thank you.
Well, a lot of times when people do that, they realize right after they do it. Sometimes it's too late, sometimes it's not. But if something like that happens, and you have to go to the Undermine Journal and look it up and see what it's worth and check prices and all of that, if it's a great deal, it is gone. I can tell you for sure there are a few things that I saw that I was pretty sure was a good deal, and checked really quickly on the price, and I was too late. I have clicked immediately to buy something as soon as it popped up, because it was something I was aware of, and I was too late. So it's a real tricky way to make gold, but it's one of those things that when you hit, you can make a ton.
So you're saying if I use it properly, I could get gold cap within a week?
You got about as much chance of hitting gold cap as the Cubs do of winning the series. Oh, never mind. Scratch that, I guess. Okay, the Browns winning the Super Bowl. We'll go with that. Sorry, Browns fans. I didn't mean to offend either one of you. So anyway, when you're scanning, if you're going that route and you're scanning, just make sure that you're keeping an eye out for items that you're aware of the value of, and when you've got something that's worthwhile or not. So yeah. The other thing that I would say on that is just a little tip. If you decide to do that, it can be a real boring long wait for something to pop up. You can sit there for 2 hours with nothing popping up that's even close to being worth buying. And then all of a sudden, something can pop up for 30K that's worth 300K. And that's a huge payday. but you have to stay awake. You have to find some way to stay awake while you're staring at that screen waiting. So if you have two accounts, I highly recommend having Sniper running on one of them while you're playing on the other one, and that'll make it a lot less painful. That pretty much, unless you had something you wanted to add about Sniper, I think that'll pretty much cover Sniper.
You know me, I still have not delved into Trade Skill Master that much. I'm not that familiar with the program, so I don't use it that much.
Well, it's an add-on, so I figured you'd know all about it.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I still use the Undermine Journal.
So let's talk a little bit about flipping items on the auction house. Now, that's a lot safer. It's also going to be you're going to be making a lot of small wins instead of one big win. So you're hitting a bunch of singles, I guess you could say, instead of looking for the home run.
Right.
Flipping in the auction house can be very safe, though, because you're not having to be quick on the trigger. A lot of times you can be very calm and casual about it as you're surfing through and looking for things that are a good deal. Usually you're talking about 30% margin or 40% margin, maybe. You're not talking about getting something for 100 gold that sells for $20K, like with Sniper. But you can set up a regular. You can have a regular plan of doing this every week, and what you'll find in a non-falling market, you want to make sure that the things that you're dealing with are not like, for instance, the herbs that just came out with the Broken Isles or the ore or something like that. Those things are in a falling market. They were super high, and they're still pretty high, but the price is getting lower and lower. Every day it's going down, and in a falling market, it's near impossible to do this. But in things that aren't in a falling market, you'll find that maybe on Tuesday, the price of something is much different than what it is on Saturday. And so maybe you can buy something on Saturday for a low price that sells for a much higher price on Tuesday. And you find a pattern where it's like that every single week. And it's a pretty safe way to turn a profit. Now, it ends up usually on most things not being a massive amount of gold, but it makes up for that with the level of safety that you have in doing it. You're not really risking a whole lot.
Like a money market account versus playing the stock market, kind of.
Right. I was thinking more along the lines of going to a 9-to-5 job versus robbing a bank, but okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with your less dramatic explanation. So what you want to do is you want to find some things that you're familiar with, that you're comfortable with trading, and some non-falling markets that you can pop in and out of. And just define a bunch of things, and you can do your research on the journal there, and find these and identify these markets. And once you've done that, and you found something that you want to do, just make a point of, on your buying day, just pop in and buy everything that's within the price range that you set, and then on your sell day you sell. But you have to be disciplined, though, for your buying price.
Right. For those who aren't familiar with the Undermine Journal, it actually has a chart. If you're looking at a certain item, you can get an item, and it'll show you the traditional what the item sells for or has sold for in the auction house over a period of time. So it's really good at showing you market fluctuations.
Absolutely. And now you've got some markets that you've jumped in and out of a little bit recently too, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the Goblin Gliders, which I'm kind of moving away from just because the prices have dropped dramatically, and that wasn't a huge gold maker. It was a decent gold. It's just supplementing. Just takes a couple of minutes to make a bunch of them and throw them in the auction house.
Well, that was a volume thing. You were selling a ton of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then there's the Trillium, black and white Trillium are selling for, depending on the server. The two markets I have, one they're selling almost 50 gold. The other one they're selling for about 70 gold each.
Yeah.
And when I was, had a stack of about 40 or 50 of them, and you just sell them individually at that price, it's pretty decent gold every day.
Yeah. Now that's one of those markets that you got to be careful about though, because that's going to be a falling market.
Oh, sure.
Because of what's going on with Sky Golems, it's all connected. But yeah, and another thing that you can do when you're dealing with the auction house like this is if you find something that has a decent amount of demand, might not be a massive demand, but decent regular demand, but has a real low volume to where when they pop in, they kind of disappear. They all sell out, and then eventually you have none in there. Find one of those markets that's undersupplied and make a point of just taking over that market. Buy it out. Always buy it out. And as long as it's not an easily replenished market, if it's something that somebody somewhere has stacks and stacks of the item, that can just come in and and mess you up. Don't do that.
Well, like volatiles, which is it? The volatile fire, is that the rare one? I know one of them is more rare than the others.
There's the water and the fire. The fire you can get from
you fish it.
Yeah, you can fish it out of the pools there, and then the water you can get from those elementals. The water is, you get it as a byproduct of mining as well, but that's not a dependable way to get it. And but yeah, it's.
But those are rarer. Motes of Harmony, Spirits of Harmony seem to be pretty rare in the market right now.
Right, and what it is the demand for those things right now are outstripping the supply by a mile. And nobody wants to go farm it. That's what you end up with. That's what happens. So yeah, but there are plenty of markets out there that you can look at and things that people forget about. People move on to the latest greatest, and they leave these other lesser markets alone, and eventually the supply drops down to a point to where it becomes very worthwhile to do it. Right. And you're always going to make gold if you're the only game in town, and that should be the goal. If you find a market that you can completely take over and you've got the capital to do it, that will pay off. Just don't buy the ones that are 100 times the going rate. There's always somebody that puts them up real high, without right. the intention of selling. They're just trying to change the pricing. They're trying to affect price data. So just don't fall for that.
Well, that's how they mess with people on snipers. They'll put something that has no value up there for a huge value that no one buys. It sits there for 3 or 4 weeks, and all of a sudden somebody comes in and goes, "Oh wow, look, that's a great deal. I'll snipe it." Yeah. And that's when they lose their shirt.
Well, I hope everybody out there has been surviving the this crazy time of year where treats are promised and tricks are delivered, and everywhere you look there's a witch, and of course I'm referring to election season.
Yeah.
And and Halloween, that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the headless horseman struck again, and I'll get him next year, but not really. But I think that's gonna pretty much wrap this up for us for this week. And next week we're going to be reporting on whatever we find out from BlizzCon. It'll be our BlizzCon episode, and we're going to try to bring to you everything that comes out from the show and what we think that means. Any kind of impact that it might have on gold making. We'll have plenty of speculation on that, and we may even be right about a thing or two. So
that never happens. Just ask Mrs. Mack. I'm never right.
Well, I think that's going to about wrap up this week's show. Why don't we tell everybody how they can get in contact with us?
You can get a hold of us at Mac, that's M-A-C, at GoblinGoldcast.com, at Goblin Goldcast on Twitter, or you can get a hold of us and talk to us on Facebook.
And don't forget, you can leave us a voicemail on our website, GoblinGoldcast.com, and please subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher if you listen to us there.
And we'll see you next week.
Now go make some gold.
I don't make jokes. I make money.